Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you wherever you're watching from. You're once again welcome to Esan Constructions channel and a tutorial on the use of the Blender software for 3D architectural design. In our last tutorial, we were able to cover some notable things about the Blender interface, which included how to tap to object mode by clicking your object, how to tap to edit mode, and tap back to object mode. And we also touch on how to adjust our measurements here, see, on this metric system, and then adjusting our preferred units to millimeters. We can always play around this depending on what you're working on with preferred unit of measurement. Then we also touched on how to make your measurements visible by activating your edge length here, and we touched on all of this, what we just and the batik select option when you are editing your mesh, the edge select option, and the face select option. Then we also touched on how you adjust your camera view, and we're going to go further from there today to creating solid walls on our mesh. Without further ado, we have a kind request. If you find our content useful and inspiring, kindly support us by subscribing to our channel and turn on your notification bell to get notifications on our posts in the future. Additionally, you can give our content 2 likes and comment down below to let us know what you think. We'd also appreciate your support by sharing our content with friends and family. Thank you. And to do that, we need to go here to click on the render display settings. Realize that our object is not really looking very good. So in order to adjust this render interface to make it look a little bit cooler to work on compared to your solid display, render display brings out the material aspect of your mesh, and you'll be able to appreciate it better when you're working with it. And for now, we don't have anything much to worry about because whatever we're doing right now is not going to be putting a lot of load on our processor. It's pretty much basic. There are some parts of our mesh that aren't that visible. In order to adjust this, we need to add an additional lamp to this light. Before you can edit anything that is not together here, you need to tap back to your object mode. So, but first and foremost, I want us to hide this because we won't be working on the roof. And then what we want to do is we want to work on the inner structure of this house. And while working on the inner structure of this house, we would be creating walls, partition walls, and also make our drawing walls solid. Because if you look at the walls now, they are just one dimensional. See, just one dimensional walls. You see, they're just one dimensional walls. So what we want to do is we want to try to make these walls as solid as possible. So let's hide our roof. Remember, the shortcut to hide is just to click on the object you want to hide and press H. See? So now, before we proceed, our roof and the house, they were the same object. So all we did was we actually separated them from being one object. I did that off screen. So, but I'm going to teach you how to do that. What you just need to do to separate a different mesh from an existing mesh in edit mode, till we're in edit mode, is to duplicate it, Shift D. You don't necessarily need to duplicate it if they're different, if they're existing objects. Or this time around, what I'm going to do, just to, for the purpose of this example, I'm going to duplicate this and then create it as a different object. The procedure is just to duplicate this, Shift D. Let's duplicate it towards X axis. Let's go around 500. Yep. Okay. So now what you need to do is press P on your keyboard, then go to selection P. Realize that a copy of this particular object comes out here, but the copy is no longer the whole entirety of this object, but the object you highlighted. So now, in order to get into this object, you can see that we are still in the edit mode of this particular object. So now, in order to get into this object, you need to go back to your object mode and re-click it. You can click it here or click it here. So by the time you tap into the edit mode, again, realize that is the only object that you have to work on here. So let's go to the object mode. So in order to delete it, you need to delete it in the object mode to have it deleted here. Because if you delete it in the edit mode, it's just going to delete this particular object without deleting the object authenticity itself, whatever it is. So it won't delete it. But now if you go Ctrl Z, yes, we go to object mode, tap to object mode and delete it, you realize that it's gone. Before further ado, remember that we touched on how to release your tools on the left hand side. Release your key to bring out the tools around this right hand side, even though I barely use that. And N brings out the tools on the left hand side, and press T again to get rid of the tools. Now let's hide our roof. I just taught you how I was able to separate the roof from the house. So let's hide it. You can go here. This is also if you don't want a particular object to render while you are rendering all your objects. Once you tap it off, it means that while you are rendering, whatever is tapped off will not render. Before I do anything, I need proper lighting. You can see that this place is not properly lit, so I need to create more lamps. In order to create lamps, you can just go straight to Shift A. In your object mode though, you see this light, then you go to point, sun, spot. So normally we usually use point lamp. I'm not specifying the location for it here. As you can see, I'm going to locate at the center of my 3D space. So I don't want to tamper with anything here. I want to manually locate it. So let me go to the properties. These are the light properties. So you see that it's 10 watts, of which this original existing lamp is 1000 watts. So I need to change this to 1000 watts so that it's going to be bright enough for me to see. So I can escape that. You can see that the point lamp is here now. This is the original lamp that was here, and this is the one I just created. So let's move it up. G Z. Let's move it up. Let's say 6000. Okay. So now we have this place properly lit now. But unfortunately, we also need every side to be lit. Let me move this. I'll duplicate. Instead of me creating another one, I can just simply duplicate it. So let me duplicate it towards the x-axis and bring it, because I want to still expand. Okay, let me just bring it 5000 minus. So then I can take this and take all the lights I have in my scene and duplicate them to both opposite ends of shade B. Now I have this. It doesn't need to be measured, but sometimes you can just choose to measure them. There's no really need to measure them. They are not going to be rendering. And I can move this one back so that it can properly view my objects. What I want to do first is I tap on my object, then I go to the edit mode. I want to increase the dimension of this house. I want to increase it. Let's increase, because we have 8000 by 8000. I want it to be 8000 by, let's say, 14,000. So let me move this one G towards the x-axis 14,000 minus. Oh, sorry. Instead of moving it 14,000, I need to 8,000 minus 14,000. That's 6,000. So let me move it so I can always edit it here. Because I wanted to be total of 14,000, and I already have 8,000, so that means I need to move it 6,000. So you can see I'm editing it here right now, so it's going to go back. So now I also need to move all this because it's a single, they are the same unit. And remember, whatever I'm doing here, I'm also going to be doing for the roof later on. But for now, G, Y, X, 6,000 minus. So you can see. Now we have this funny looking house. Now you'll be seeing that at every point in time I'm saving my work, because anything could happen and works that are not saved will be lost. So what I want to do now is let me tap back to up. I need to adjust this light setting so that it can cover for the back of this house. Let's go. I'm going back to my object mode too, because you can't work on lights and your lamps in edit mode. Sorry. So Y X. I want to move them all back, even though I'm still going to move the middle ones, because I want them to be properly centered. So C. So you can use your button C to select object, and the middle mouse button you can use it to select, while you can use your left mouse button to select. So that's just it. You can use your right mouse button to what? Escape. dx. Now you have that. So I'm also saving that. So now I'll go back into my object, into my mesh, and go back to what I want to do is I want to create a solid wall. You can see these are just plain objects. I want to create a solid wall. What I need to do is I'm going to click on my face because I'm operating on the face. And when I click on my face, I'm just going to extrude towards whatever axis I want. And you can see from this drawing, you can see that what I want to do, I don't want the length of the house or the breadth of or the width of the house to exceed 1000 mm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude it inside instead of extruding it outside. So let's try that. So we're extruding inside by 2 to 5. The standard size of brick walls in Nigeria is 2 to 5 or 150 in most places, and this sandcrete blocks for sandcrete blocks, yeah, sandcrete blocks. Or you have other materials that can be used for partitioning, like wood, even external partition like wood, steel, and all. But I'm considering this building to strictly be a sandcrete block wall partition. Let's stick with that. So you go here, you do the same thing. Extrude towards the y-axis 2 to 5. You can see this one extruded inside, so I don't need to add a minus behind what I'm doing because it's actually extruding inside the house. This one extruded outside, and in order to extrude it inside, I need to press minus. So let's extrude this one too, and detail for this one too. Extrude towards the x-axis, so 2 to 5 is also extruding inside. Now we have something that is funny looking here. You see these joints here. I don't really like that. Even though if you tap back to the object mode, they are not noticeable and they look like you can easily discard them, but I don't like having them because when you start to do some complex editing, like you want to have partitions here and all that, it begins to give you some funny problems and you won't be able to choose. You might have troubles choosing and making unnecessary doubles of your vertices. So I rather get rid of them. And also in any design, walls, you can't have walls going into each other like this. You just have one wall. In reality, you have just one wall. So let's make it just one wall connecting each other. In order to do that, I can pick this and move it G towards the y-axis 2 to 5. And remember that it's overlapped into the original wall by 2 to 5 by the width of this. And the same thing here too. If overlapped into this wall by 2 to 5. I should always remember to save your work. Your solid 2 to 5 by 2 to 5 wall by 3000. That